and we are back tonight. We have Mr. William Honaker. And hey, what was that nickname again?
The Wendigo.
Wendigo.
See, I told you it was something like Chupacabra. I knew it was some kind of like cryptid.
Yeah. It's my buddy started calling me it because of my reach. So even for my height, I can almost hit my knees standing up. So
you're a big man, and you're fighting another big man. This is a matchup I really like: Dakota Begley, Fat Thor versus the Wendigo, William Honaker.
Yes,
so
sir.
tell me, what are your thoughts, man? You excited to get back in there? It's been a while since we've seen.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Getting a title shot right off the bat kind of gets you a little amped up for a while, and then obviously there was a few hiccups there along the way with setting up some fights, and then tried to go through some other promoters and stuff didn't work out there.
And here you come crawling back to us.
Forget those other promoters.
Cheating on Keith with other promoters, and here you are back at our door asking for a date.
They prey on you. It's like they smell when you're poor, and they're like, "Hey, you want to just a pro fight with your 0-1 record? We'll pay you."
Oh, we've talked about that before. Like when I fought CJ Matthews, I had some dude from Kansas hit me up the next day, like, "Hey, you want to turn pro and fight me?"
Yeah, I'm like,
sounds like it'd work out great for me.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of punch happy, so I was rooting and tooting for it, but yeah, definitely probably the best move that I got an injury right before that was supposed to happen.
For people who don't know, as far as your fight with Watts, it shows you've got some gut because you took a title shot on a day's notice. Really, you were supposed to fight Michael Watts in MMA. Watts didn't get his blood work on time, and you found out the day before. So you traveled all the way to, Harts, West Virginia. Well, you were in Harts that time. So we were there at the Best Western in Chapmanville. I remember.
And I
had to talk you into kickboxing. I was like, oh shit! I was so mad at Watts. Keith was pissed at Watts, but we talked to you about it. We're like, well, you think you might want to kickbox because it didn't require the same blood work, and you did it. You walked in there and you fought the current champion, your first fight ever. And I thought you looked good. I really did. I thought excellent kick. I feel like you probably feel like you didn't get to show yourself. I mean, those first fight jitters and stuff.
Yeah, that, and on top of, obviously the mix up, the whole game plan kind of got thrown out the window. Because at least at a heavyweight level from, training and, rolling jiu-jitsu and stuff, like you could really take a lot of breaks with heavyweights on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So, your only breaks in kickboxing is a clinch. And, I just happened to get caught up against the cage a lot in clinches with him. And, he started catching on to my little turnaround over his foot and caught my foot, hit me with that uppercut. And, Bob's your uncle. He destroyed my leg so much I couldn't get back up on it.
I love that you use the phrase Bob's your uncle. To me, that you just soared up in my book just because of that. I'm
a man of metaphors for sure.
So speaking of metaphors, you've got a big mountain to climb in front of you in the shape of Dakota Begley. I'm sure you've been watching footage on him. I'm sure you've seen his last couple fights. What are your thoughts on him?
And this is not to lowly speak of him at all. I mean, obviously he's heard where he's at. He's definitely got a decent record when it comes to, boxing, but he's definitely a rough and rowdy style, tough man. Seems like a very big kind of like bully in the ring, just wants to get as close as he can to you and throw power bombs. I think it's going to throw him for a loop that I'm actually pretty decent with kicks. I've seen in most of his other fights, I don't think a single kick was thrown with his last fight before.
If he tries to power bomb you, that's against the rules, isn't it, Keith?
It is.
Oh no, yeah, throwing bombs.
I know. I'm just. I had to say it. I had. You've been around me too much, William, to know I'm not going to say something if you throw it out there.
Yeah, you're good at those catches. But yeah, so I think he's definitely got some technique for sure. But I believe that's where those two, the matchup's going to be great because I am definitely more of a read your fighter, pick your shots. Which my whole team has been telling me you should have threw your hands more. You should have threw your hands more with the fight with Watts. I didn't really utilize my punches at all, mostly just for distancing. But we noticed a couple things with this last fight in Perry that makes this a really good matchup, and we're looking forward to it. Plan is to kind of get it over with in the first round. Hopefully.
You should have a good height and reach advantage here too. So
yeah, I think I got like 4 inches of height on him. I don't know his reach, obviously, but
yeah.
I had a reach advantage on Watts, and Watts is definitely a bigger opponent.
Yeah. Watts will chop a man down.
Yeah.
What kind of confidence does that give you? Most people's debut fight, they look for an easy opponent, but you didn't have one. You had a very tough debut. that give you confidence coming into this one? You feel like Begley's an easier opponent?
You can never underestimate anyone. I think Begley's definitely going to hit harder with the hand. So I'm definitely going to, after the last fight, I learned my lesson. Definitely going to keep an eye on those leg kicks if he starts throwing them. I replay you yelling again in my head a lot. So yeah, like living a daily nightmare every time I go to the gym, hearing Elijah just scream again.
Okay.
That's the thing. Not only did you have to deal with Watts, you had to deal with the most loudmouth corner in New Line history.
Which, I mean, after about the 12th time, it really started helping because I started checking him right toward then because I kept hearing you and I knew he was going to throw one right after.
That's when he's got to go high. He's got to learn to read my mind, not what I'm saying.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to go into this with more of a, let's use my top half mostly. I'm definitely going to try to specifically hit my shots with my hands this go around, see what they got. But in terms of confidence, I don't know. It's an odd thing because it's been so long. I mean, yeah, it's been what, two years, I think.
Think about this, Elijah. He hasn't fought since the same night I fought.
Yeah.
That is wild. And Neil, I'm a guy who I did the same thing. The first time I fought, I took about 2 years or more off in between first and second fight. And it's strange. It almost feels like you're making that debut again. You still have those same nerves, same jitters. But
yeah.
what do you feel is going to be different this time?
Not near as much pressure. I mean, kind of getting thrown a title fight your first go around, you really, no one rarely gets that opportunity. So, I had my whole team backing me up. Oh my God, you could take home a belt, la da da. So there's that pressure. And then, just experiencing all that for the very first time on top of, oh, this is actually a big deal in general terms, not just as a debut. But yeah, I think my nerves are going to be a lot less this go around for sure. You do have that mindset where, oh, this guy earned this belt. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason this guy has this belt. So you get that nervousness of like, why am I, who's green as can be, going into the ring with their champion? Lord knows why, but I'm just going to go for it. So at least with Watts, I had that aspect of, you never want that mindset, but it's like, I'm going to take this L, and hopefully not get injured. I do have the confidence at this point to be like, I might be able to get this guy in the first round. I've seen a couple shots he took that wobbled him that were just, in my opinion, some weaker jabs he just happened to step into. I think, I don't remember who his opponent was, but his second to last fight, I mean, the guy pretty much knocked him out with a jab. And, was
that the fight he had USA Boxing, maybe in Kentucky or somewhere?
I actually believe this was MMA.
You're talking about the MMA bout that he had in Lexington with us.
Oh, yeah, that one.
So, once again, shout out to his opponent. I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he hit him with a really kind of light jab, just kind of like a setup jab, and it wobbled him enough. Into it. Yeah. So, and being a southpaw and everything, I mean, being a southpaw, them jabs are your bread and butter, and you can throw them with some power being a southpaw. So I'm hoping, he kind of keeps that. He almost has like I don't know how to explain it, like a gas station version of Mike Tyson style boxing. He really comes down low when he's trying to use his head movement, and we're breaking down footage, not to give away too much, but it seems like an easy opponent to really throw some solid jabs at. Lead him into some uppercuts.
Are you excited about these Kentucky rules? You're able to throw knees as well.
You know what? I haven't really practiced throwing those, but I'll probably go for one if we end up in a clinch. I mean, I do got some powerful legs. I can get that leverage on him.
Tree trunks.
Yeah, I mean, being a taller opponent too, it's going to be a little more difficult for him to get those knees in on me in a clinch. But once again, I'm confident in the fact that he might have me in the boxing department, but I definitely got him in the kicking department. And if I have to utilize that, I will. I have a decently well-rounded arsenal. I've switched over to Chef's Gym, Doghouse. What a trainer that man is. Really, really rounded my foundation, as well as some switch stance. We've been doing a lot of orthodox stuff, so I'm confident on either side if I need to switch. So going into this with like a little bit more of a, experienced mindset, I guess, in terms of training, and then working overnights. I'm mostly working out at home nowadays, but I would say my confidence is pretty neutral. I try to keep it as neutral as possible until the day of, just so I can focus on game plans and training.
Yeah. You always do seem like a guy who has a lot of self-belief, though. Ever since I met you, you seem very determined what you want to do in this sport. And I admire that about you. Like, whatever you say you're going to do, I feel like you're damn going to try to do it. After seeing you step up and fight Watts on a day's notice under his rules, like, I've got a lot of belief in William Honaker. But I don't know if I pronounce your last name right. That's the big thing.
So I was going to say that at the beginning of this, because every time y'all have brought my name up, doesn't matter who you're talking to, what it is. There's always some battle, and I think it's Honaker for the record. Yeah,
the Eastern Kentucky version is Honaker.
Yeah. So it's
Well,
It's
how do you
Honaker,
pronounce?
but
How do you say Versailles in Kentucky, Elijah?
Versailles, which is moronic, but that's just the way it is.
Different strokes for different folks. I never really minded, but
backwards people.
You
I
say
got
tomato, I say potato.
We never had hooked on phonics here.
It didn't work for me.
I didn't think Hooked on Phonics started the curriculum until the 2000s in Kentucky. They were a little late on that curve.
Now it's just hooked on electronics. Everybody's got an iPad in their face.
Yeah, I actually hung up when we started this call. I actually pressed the button on my AirPods.
Do you know how crushing it is to me that Keith was right and I was wrong, though? I wish that you would have just said it was the way. You should have just changed
We need to.
For the record, neither one of y'all were right.
I was saying Honaker. I was saying Honaker.
You said Honaker.
Who?
No, yeah, Keith, you were wrong.
Yeah,
you said Honaker.
We have it recorded. We can bring it up. When you post this, bring up a clip. he says Honaker.
Edit it in like a montage.
I say it.
I'm sure.
I've never said it. I've never said it like that.
You've either said it and then immediately followed it by or Honaker.
Yeah, it's like a play on Elijah. We had him on. I said William Honaker or Honaker, pointing at Elijah. Yeah.
Well, they never recorded you guys. It was just voiceover. So.
Oh yeah. There's another one. Preston.
We just need a montage.
So I was saying Dyer. He is saying DR.
Yeah, you got to help us with that too.
It's Dyer.
Okay. Dyer.
And that's speaking of that, that's another thing that's kind of keeping my nerves at bay. I mean, I finally get to fight on a card with two of the closest people in my life. Tyrone's basically a brother to me. And I mean, Preston has been in the gym with us since we started almost. I mean, even before, and he's been a corner for us since day one. And, getting to see all of us fight on the same card together and have that camaraderie is just, a huge morale boost.
Team Oreo, baby.
Exactly. We were making jokes like a black wolf, a Wendigo, and a bear walk into the woods, and it's nice to have that, it's one thing to fight for a team out of a gym, because, you kind of go there and you all have the same goals and you're just there to train. Whereas like me, Preston, and Tyrone and even Tyler, as you guys know, our manager, we're almost like a family. I mean, we hang out outside of the gym. We're close, so that's going to be nice to have that whole group going and participating.
Yeah.
It might be a little difficult to manage us all cornering each other, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah. It's every fight's going to have like Tyler and one or two of the fighters.
It really just depends on how much we get beat up in a row, because I think Tyrone's number one still on the card.
He's let me look. Thinking he's number 2. Tyrone is number 2.
Number 2. All right.
Preston is number 7. You are 13.
No, so I'm the finale. All right.
Yeah, I may need to change something because I do have Sam Kinker as 14, so I don't know how that's going to work. Who's going to be cornering Sam? So I believe Sam's one of the MMA coaches at your gym, right?
Yes. Now mainly because I've been working overnights, I haven't got to get really good in with the crew at Doghouse. Mostly just me and Shep. But yeah, he's one of the coaches there. He's been helping run out of here and there.
What kind of confidence does that give you to be training under such a high level kickboxer and MMA fighter as Mike Shepard?
Well, I mean, great. It's just easy to flow into everything he's saying. And, he's really good about being right there with you and what you need work on. He doesn't beat around the bush and try to give you confidence you don't need. He's like, hey, you're going to work on this. This is what you're working on. This is what I think you need. And he'll come over and tweak you to the smallest degree. Like, oh, your ankle's just slightly off when you're throwing your hook. Like, you just need to tweak it just a little bit more to get that power out. And, it's also really easy to, no offense to Ryan or any of them guys at Ronin, but it's kind of difficult when you're learning from a guy who's 130 pounds. That's a whole different style of fighting in that weight class compared to fighting people.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, because, Ryan's a great coach, but Mike Shepard was a heavyweight. He's a dude who understands how heavyweights operate, how they move. I'm sure that's been a definite positive move for you.
100%. And also being able to spar those heavyweight guys in his gym, like Satterfield, who's grade A class boxer, all them guys. I mean, being able to actually get that experience outside of just fighting a kickboxing champion as a debut fight, it really lets me know where I stand in terms of from training at Ronin with Ryan, learning those speed techniques that a lot of heavyweights don't have and how to really utilize that. And I think that's a huge advantage over, most heavyweights who just train specifically for heavyweight. I got to train in a multi-class, because I was sparring. I was sparring people like Tyrone since I started. And, he's got a lot of speed on me, so I had to learn how to adapt. It got me really good at, being able to dodge and counter. So yeah, working with Mike definitely got me more confident. in terms of power. Because I always knew I was decently quick. I was a little bit elusive when needed to be with my hands. I just wasn't confident with them because I couldn't throw power. And you guys probably going to see a whole different style of fighting from me come out this match, which I'm looking forward to actually utilizing. But yeah, I'm way more confident with my hands, which is like the biggest turnaround working with Shep and them at Doghouse.
I think there's one more thing that I'm going to ask you, and I think you touched on it already. You said what you were looking for, but I want you to predict this fight for me. I want you to tell me what's going to happen.
I got one of two things that are going to happen here. Either I'm going to be able to, he's going to rush with most of the stamina first round from everything I've seen. Now me saying this might change the whole outcome of this whole thing, but I could easily see a knockout in first round if I just time that, him coming in right, his distancing right, or, maybe even throwing a well-timed kick when he's ducking for one of those punches, throwing up a setup jab. Because, he dips low, and I can at least kick as low as he dips. So hopefully getting that off, or maybe with a counter cross, anything like that. Or it's either going to be that or go the distance. If he's pretty bulky guy, he can take some damage, and if you're not hitting him right in that button, he's going to go the distance. He's a stamina beast, so it's just about keeping up and trying to get those points and keeping distance. So that's pretty much the game plan: keeping distance till he comes in at the right moment, and just trying to throw a bomb at him. But yeah, hopefully first round knockout. Obviously, everyone hopes for that, but I see a late first round knockout or decision, hopefully in my favor, if I can utilize my reach on him.
And supposedly there is a guy, this Mexican guy from Begley, that's looking to get the winner of this fight.
Oh God, is his name Ricardo? Oh God, we bringing that up again?
The word on the street.
In fact, we've actually got him getting ready to call into the interview right now.
Please bring him back. I have some questions.
That would have been amazing if we would have done that to him.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm always open. I'm always open to that happening again. I think he deserves the run at me.
I think we should have probably tracked him down just for your interview.
I'm telling you, I would have been the happiest man alive today.
I'm checking Facebook.
We weren't supposed to bring him up.
Well, his last name,
normal interview.
Rent free and ever since.
Let's probably changed it after that video. God,
man.
I'm reliving the whole interview in my head now.
He's having Jesus. Flashbacks.
I've never seen so many emotions in one conversation.
I watched it back the other day, actually. I was thinking about it when we were talking about you fighting again. I went and looked at it. I noticed how much Keith had edited. Keith edited a lot of the episodes out.
That was actually, yeah. Kate,
you cut that hour-long interview down to about 28 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I think it got really ugly when I told him, I don't care that your mom died.
Yeah, that was...
Kate's like, we better edit this. And that's what we were on the podcast. That's what made me think of it. We were talking about it on the podcast, and I was like, I don't know why I was so angry at that guy.
I think you were just mad because you were ready for a good interview.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm such a professional.
That's exactly. Yeah. And 13 seconds into this interview, this guy just starts rapping, and you were over it.
Well, you finally got your professional interview. It's taken years. It's been years.
Yeah, like I said, my whole career with NLC has been a very uphill battle, all around.
Is that Ricardo in the background, Keith?
Yeah, I can't get it straight.
Just his belly.
Yeah, it's got the full image, but he's like up here.
Move your head.
Was that from his? Oh God!
You can see the stab wounds.
That was from his first master right there.
Yeah. How do I
take I don't remember.
Like, how do I get this off of here? I'm disgusted.
I'm just mad that interview has filled up so much of my time of thinking.
I love to imagine that you're just driving to work and thinking about
I do
that.
Sometimes, because he was in his car, and if I turn my light, my ceiling light on, it just replays for a second. I'm glad this is what I'm.
Right? Is it like a fear? You like he's going to pop up in your back seat one day?
Yeah. Like there's a certain amount of self-purpose I have to do for this fight as well. It's given me some confidence because I know I'm known for that interview.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I feel like we need to invite
wildest one
and bring him out and have you guys do a face-off after the fight.
At least that.
Can we do it WWE style where we got a folding steel chair? And,
yes. Well, I think that's it for me. We got it. We did it. We didn't get any argument.
Oh my God, look at us.
We were completely professional. We did it.
Well,
we were 70% professional.
We were what I call West Virginia professional.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. We were business dudes, but with jeans. That's West Virginia professional.
March 9th, Catlettsburg, Kentucky. We're going to see
Yes,
you
sir.
again.
Yep, you're going to see a whole different version of me, too.
Heavyweight kickboxing match. This time we know it's kickboxing ahead of time. No, no last minute changes are coming here.
Oh, we're
at this point, I'm committed. So same as last time. If something goes on, just throw me in there at this point.
Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah. We'll be at the hotel after weigh-ins. We're gonna be like, yeah, you guys have to joust.
Yeah, that or fighting Sammy Schilt.
I can't. Jousting or actual fighting? We're gonna start a whole HEMA league now.
Yeah.
Here's the suit of armor. Go for
it. Hey, I want to actually make that happen, but it seems.
I know a good amount of HEMA gyms, at least in the Cleveland area, so I might be able to get some guys for you. But
we've been talking about that for a while. The sanctioning is what the nightmare is. Like, trying to get that sanctioned, it would be awesome. Keith and I
I think we have to bill it as a Renaissance festival, and then the fights broke out. I don't know.
These nerds in armor.
Who put a cage in the middle of our Renaissance festival?
These nerds in armor work quick.
We'll figure it out.
Just
start New Line Cagefighting Euro League. You just get everything sanctioned over there for that stuff.
Tell me one thing before we go. Last thing I'm going to ask you, and this is it. So you walk through this fight, you get that first round finish. Have you got anybody else in mind that's next?
I mean, if I win this one, no offense to Mr. Joe Perry, he's a hell of a man and a hell of a fighter. He just seems like a good matchup to me. We're both southpaws, and I haven't got to fight a southpaw. And honestly, you guys don't seem to have a lot of heavyweights available at all times, so it's hard to tell who's ready and willing. But if I could have another shot with Watts, I think where I'm at now, at least fundamentally, and being able to learn from that fight, I think it'd be a good matchup again.
I was actually going to ask you that. I don't know if you know this. Michael Watts has been missing right around the time of your fight. I was wondering if you did something to him. Realize you're being recorded right now, and anything can be used in court, like all this.
Nope. I think we had one conversation after that fight where he was like, "Hey, how's your leg, buddy?" And I'm like, "Good. How's your stomach?" And I did get him with that good liver kick. And that was it. Last I heard from him too.
My concern was that maybe him and Jeremy Browning took him up on the 4-wheeler path in the hills.
I still don't know why he thinks I go 4-wheeling with him.
We have to talk about that. I forgot all about it. We've got to talk about this. Would be the best close.
First time I ever met that man, Keith.
So
Keith was there. I used to go 4-wheel riding with that guy.
I'll set the stage here. We're at weigh-ins.
Who are you?
Agreed to fight Watts. And Jeremy Browning shows up after he weighed in for his pro fight the next day.
Drunk.
He is so drunk. He's so drunk. It's bananas. Like, I'm like, dude, you have to fight tomorrow. It's like, I'm good. And then he saw his face lit up with this big smile. He was so happy. And he's like, oh my God, dude. Like you were his best friend. And you're like, I've never met this man in my life.
The thing that bothered me about he didn't even say a name. No. I was just that dude you went forward with.
Yeah.
You explained to him who you were and why he doesn't know you. And then he was like, made it even more.
He was like, "Oh, you're kidding, buddy." I know. Yeah,
he did not believe you for a moment.
So he's like, you're like, "What's my name?" He's like, "Tell me your name." You're like, "William Honaker." He's like, "Yeah, you."
Yeah, you're the guy.
You're the one.
Here's my question. In hindsight, don't you wish that you would have went with him drinking that night?
Weirdly enough,
wild adventures you would have got into.
I do most of life sober, anyways. Fortunately, my vices have all passed me by. But it might have been a fun time. Maybe if it was under the context that he didn't know me at first, Yeah. But I have a theory with Watts. I think
play into it and be like, "Yeah, you're my best friend, bro. We've been through so much."
Well, after he just completely ignored the fact that I didn't know him, I looked at Keith and then I just kind of accepted it at that point. Jeremy's kind of a big guy.
I think, thankfully, though, he got distracted by a woman that was walking around and just wandered off, wandered off into the crowd.
He's just gone.
I'm putting together a theory. I think Ricardo went off the deep end, and that's what happened with Watts. He got mad that me and Watts actually had a fight.
That was his glory. Watts stole his glory. He was supposed to be the one to take you out.
Yeah. He was going to be the one to get the belt, bring it back home to his master of the 5
I'm glad it didn't happen because then he was fighting Elijah. And then if he was going to beat Elijah, then I had to fight him. So
you're going to have to edit a missing poster of Michael Watts on here.
Also, if you're speaking of future fights, Elijah, I mean, I know Preston called you out at that one point.
I swear to God, if you call me out too, if I get called out by both, bastards in one day. I'll just drive to Parkersburg and we'll go to the park.
I'm not calling you out. I'm saying the option is out there. You're a fun guy. I think you'd be fun to play with in the ring.
They pick a guy who's having a baby, he's inactive, and then they're like, "Yeah, let's fight this guy."
No, listen, now's the time. Sometimes
I'll
you gotta
shave beard, son. I'll shave your beard off. Shave it right off.
Are we gonna fight for beards now?
This is turning into the Ricardo interview, William.
Oh, God.
Exactly what I didn't want.
Hey, you had to get hyped up at least once per interview. I mean, that's just tradition.
That's an Elijah Thacker special. Yeah. All right, let's end this. The entire team.
Yep. Well, you've got 22 minutes to get clocked in at work. So
yeah.
Who else is next? Tyrone Kenshin. I swear to God, if I interview him and he calls me out, I'm just going to have to fight.
I mean, you'll have to drop down to 170, guaranteed.
I'm going to have to realize that there's
with me. With me, you don't have to. You can eat whatever you want. That's the perk of being this size. I fight at my walking around weight, which is great.
I walk at my fighting around weight.
Yeah, that's the. That's what I'm going to say from now on. This is the peak male physique of a heavyweight kickboxer.
Almost a clean interview. It almost went off without a hitch, but here we are, combative at the end, just like we like it.
Got to keep the storyline in canon,
That's exactly right.
Yep. Well, fellas, it's been a while.
Yep.
All right. Speaking to y'all again. Can't wait to show off for you guys.
Mr. Honaker, thanks for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you here in 3 weeks.
Likewise. All right, fellas.